Are we ready, Ms. Bell? Hey, everyone. It is March 20th. This is the Instructional Services and Assessment Committee meeting. It's 9:03 a.m. Call this meeting to order. Gonna have a roll call.
Basic Tenori. Jude S. Burgess. Dora P. Mira.
Here.
And Chair, we have all three members present. There is one.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you wanna introduce everyone who's here?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Good morning, Chair and board members. I start from, since I'm a military guy, from right to left. So we have Ms. Merced from the CCLHS program. We have Dr. Lorraine from Office of Curriculum and Instruction, and then to her left is Ms. Monica from CCLHS as well. And then to my left, we have Ms. Annette, who is from ARE, so she is acting director for accountability research and evaluation, and then to her left is Mr. T. T. Mr. T, right? And then I'm sure there are some others on the call there that I can't see everybody, but nevertheless, these are the folks that are here to present, and if there's anybody on the line who would like to chime in whenever, that's okay too, as long as I know who's calling in and what they're about to say.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as is? And move for today's agenda. Okay. All right, Ms. Val, roll call.
Jude S. Burgess.
Yes.
ACB Tenorian.
Yes.
Dora B. Mira.
Yes.
Chair, all members voting yes.
We're going to move on to public comments. I believe we have quite a few. Ms. Val, is that right?
Pursuant to the OE policy 0415, public comments are limited to 30 minutes. We ask that remarks be limited to 3 minutes each. And everyone is welcome to some written comments. Okay. Public comments. The Board of Education, as a student who took AP Research and AP Seminar, I can firmly state that the rigor of these classes helped me advance my intellectual capabilities immensely. Throughout the years, I learned how to read and write research papers, which helped me develop critical thinking skills in every other subject. I find myself looking through Google Scholar to conduct a deep dive to satisfy my intellectual curiosity from time to time. Learning this deeply made me believe in my own capabilities in pursuing higher education. All of these skills couldn't have developed without the rigor of these courses. Discussion and lectures helped me break down the structure of research papers, allowing me to understand them with more ease. My newfound abilities to read them supplements my learning throughout different subjects, from AP English language to AP chemistry. Not only is my thesis for my other classes now more nuanced with credible evidence, but it also oriented my thinking from theoretical to realistic. I believe that this transition would be beneficial in any field, especially for my dream job, engineering, where ideas on paper become a reality. This is why I believe AP Research and AP Seminar should be considered as worthy. It would motivate more students to take these classes and develop the ability to handle nuance while looking for credibility. The rigor of these classes makes it so every student comes out of class better. These skills are not only important for school, but also for the real world. Sincerely, Larissa Wang. Board of Education. My name is Diana Tereguezo, and I am a junior at Marinas High School. I am currently taking AP Research and I have taken AP Seminar in my sophomore year. Compared to the general classes I've taken, I can definitely say that these courses are more challenging work and require dedication in order to succeed. The amount of time and effort I've poured into these classes reflects heavily on who I am as a student. The skills that I have, such as critical thinking and writing, have improved immensely because of these classes. AP research in particular made me more proficient in looking at the bigger picture, as well as narrowing down that focus when needed. Moreover, to be frank, I never chose to take AP seminar in my sophomore year. It was chosen for me. But I do not regret taking that class. In fact, my experience from AP seminar made me want to take AP research in my current junior year. I already love learning about our world, but taking these courses allowed me to do it on a wider scale. It even led me to apply for the Pacific Step Up program because of how much I loved these classes. It is exactly my experience, as well as many other AP seminar and AP research students, that these classes should be considered an AP class officially. Not only has it improved my own educational skills, writing, comprehension, etc., but it has allowed me to achieve so many opportunities I never thought I would have. This is especially true for AP research, and I won't ever regret taking these classes. Sincerely, Diana Ferrequezo.
So would you mind help in reading all the letters? 'Cause sorry, do you want me to?
Oh, sure. Thank you. One second.
So you're not entirely on.
Okay.
I can read the next one.
Read on. Dear Board of Education, AP Research has taught me valuable lessons, even outside of the course material. The course covers numerous academic abilities such as writing, reading, synthesizing text, and more, as well as countless personal skills to be used outside of the classroom, such as critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, and puts all skills to the test. One feature of this class that I believe truly helps prepare students for college and more is that the work is self-paced. This class teaches students to balance their personal life and their other responsibilities while finding the time to work on one's research project. It's a difficult task, but will prove to be immensely valuable to a student's future if able to succeed. I am currently experiencing this firsthand. I have a lot of other responsibilities, such as my AmeriCorps duties, so I know that being able to improve my time management skills in this class will be an immense help for my college life. This is why I think that AP research should be considered for a weighted class. It's not only providing students with academic skills, but with essential life skills that other classes may fail to educate. Sincerely, Chester Torres.
Do you want to read?
Yeah. No, I got it.
Oh, you got it?
The next letter is to whom it may concern. My name is Henry Choi and I am a junior at Marianas High School. I am currently enrolled in AP research and a Fluent AP seminar. I am writing this letter regarding the concern arising from the matter of the waiting situation of AP research and AP seminar. Being informed that the GPA boost was not available to these classes despite being an AP class left my colleagues and I in turmoil. I strongly believe that these classes deserve boosts due to their rigor, real world values, skills, college readiness, and more. Personally, the motivation behind taking AP classes was heavily influenced by these three main benefits: to challenge myself with college level courses, obtain knowledge beyond high school curriculums, and enhance my resume. And honestly, all of my peers, including myself, consider enhancing our resumes as one of the most driving factors in our decisions to enroll in AP classes over honors or general classes. Therefore, hearing that AP research and AP seminar is not weighted was dispiriting. As a student that has taken 8 AP classes, AP research is one of the classes that deserves the GPA boost the most, in my opinion. Considering its workload and time consumption, AP research has been one of the most rigorous classes I have taken. The primary goal of this class is to generate an original 5,000-word research paper, which is equivalent to the work of a college graduate. In the class, we are expected to read numerous research articles, form original thesis, design methodology, and generate impactful results for the academic field. In addition, the process of generating our own research paper provides us invaluable real-world value and skills. including time management, communication, critical thinking, academic writing, professional presentation, ethical inquiry, data analysis, and much more. We are disappointed that despite being an AP class, we are receiving lower weight than honors classes. Many students are concerned that it may have effects on our ranks and ultimately affect our education beyond high school. Considering these reasons, I firmly believe that AP Seminar and AP Research should be weighted. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Henry Choi. Do you want me to read the next one, Ms. Lau?
I can take this.
Okay.
Dear Board of Education, this is a testimonial in regards to the GPA boost that is not being applied to the AP Research and AP Seminar course credit. I wholeheartedly believe that this boost should be applied as a way of demonstrating the proper rigor that these classes possess. As a student who has taken both of them, the other AP classes through my personal experience, I can say that AP Seminar and AP Research require as much, if not more, commitment to doing the coursework. Not only is subject knowledge needed to execute any major assignment, both classes incorporate aspects of academia into the coursework, research, presentation, and legal work. These aspects mean that we are doing tasks that are comparatively equivalent to the work of a college student. Therefore, it would be beneficial to have a way of representing that rigor in order to show to colleges and future employers that I am able to take on similarly difficult tasks, a GPA boost. I am disappointed to witness the time and efforts I have devoted to doing work within both classes has resulted in a grade that is equal to a regular class. Considering the aforementioned classes, I believe that this does not do justice to the College Board's advanced placement courses, which are made with the intent of providing high school students with college level coursework, not high school level. I am not attempting to diminish the value of high school studies, but I am emphasizing the value of AP courses being understated. With this in mind, it is important that the GPA boost be applied to AP Research and AP Seminar in order to provide a quantitative representation of the amount of dedication that is put into doing and completing the coursework. To reiterate, it is for the purpose of showing that we students are able to dedicate ourselves to hard work and meet expectations of the future. Sincerely, Alfonso Ligaya.
I can read the next one, Ms. Val. Sure. Dear members of the Board of Education, I am writing to express the perspective of students at Marianas High School regarding the current policy that does not weight AP Seminar, AP Research, AP Japanese, and Honors Japanese. Students on Saipan already face many challenges when it comes to resources and opportunities. Access to educational resources is more limited compared to other places, making it even more important that the opportunities we do have are recognized and valued appropriately. At Marianas High School, several advanced placement courses are currently weighted, but AP Seminar, AP Research, AP Japanese, and Honors Japanese are not. The reasoning given is that PSS policy allows only 2 AP classes per core subject to be weighted. However, when looking at the current course offerings, multiple AP courses already exist within the same subject areas. For example, social studies includes AP World History, AP Psychology, AP US History, AP Human Geography, and AP Government and Politics. Language arts includes AP Language, AP Literature, and Honors Philosophy. Math includes AP Statistics, AP Calculus, AP Pre-Calculus, and AP Computer Science. Science includes AP Physics, AP Chemistry, AP Biology, and Honors Biology. This makes it difficult for students to understand why the same flexibility cannot apply to these other AP courses. Purpose of an advanced placement class is to provide a more rigorous curriculum and prepare students for college level work. AP Seminar and AP Research in particular are extremely rigorous and heavy writing courses. Labeling them as unweighted, while courses like AP Psychology or AP Human Geography often considered less demanding, remain weighted. This kind of feels like a penalty for students pursuing the AP capstone diploma. Additionally, there are inconsistencies that raise concerns about fairness. Honors philosophy is weighted, while AP research is not. Both are humanities-based, high-level inquiry courses, yet AP research requires students to complete a year-long, 5,000-word original research paper. Typically, an AP course is considered more rigorous than an honors course, so it is logically inconsistent that more demanding courses do not receive weighted recognition. Similarly, AP Japanese is a language other than English course, and in most schools, AP language courses are weighted. Not weighting this course suggests that advanced language study is less valuable than other subject areas, which can be discouraging for bilingual and heritage students who are working to develop advanced proficiency. There are also inconsistencies at the honors level. Honors biology, a one-semester course, is weighted, while honors Japanese, also one semester, is not. Both are introductory honors level courses with similar duration and expectations. Yet the science credit is valued more in GPA calculations than the language credit. There is no clear educational reasoning that justifies this difference. When AP Japanese, honors Japanese, AP seminar, and AP research are not weighted, students receive the same GPA value as a regular course despite the additional workload. This discourages students from taking these challenging classes because the extra effort is not reflected in their academic record. As a result, students may choose less rigorous paths, not because they lack motivation, but because the system does not fairly reward their effort. I am speaking not only for myself, but for many students who want to challenge themselves academically. I will be graduating soon and will not personally benefit from this change, but I hope that future students will have their hard work recognized properly. Weighting these courses would encourage students to pursue more rigorous academic opportunities and better prepare them for college and beyond. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you for considering the student perspective on this matter. Respectfully, Faharna Sabrina Islam, senior at Marianas High School.
The next one would be from Marianas High School National Honor Society. To the members of the Commonwealth Board of Education. The Marianas High School National Honor Society writes to you with deep respect and a shared commitment to academic excellence. We also write with genuine concern. Over the past year, many of our members have expressed growing frustration and discouragement regarding the current PSS policy that limits weighted courses to no more than 2 under a single core subject area. While we understand that the policy may have been created with good intentions, its real impact on students has been far more complicated. Under this policy, several rigorous courses, AP Research, AP Seminar, AP Japanese, and Honors Japanese, remain unweighted, even though they are year-long, college-level, or advanced language courses that require significant dedication. Meanwhile, other subject areas exceed the 2 weighted courses by line without issue, considering the following classes offered at MHS. English Language Arts, AP Language and Composition, AP Literature and Composition, and Honors Philosophy. Mathematics, AP Statistics, AP Calculus, AP Computer Science Principles, and AP Pre-Calculus Online. Science, AP Chemistry, AP Physics 1, AP Biology, and Honors Biology Online. Social Studies, AP US History, AP World History, AP Human Geography, and AP US Government and Politics Online. These inconsistencies have created a sense of unfairness among students who choose to challenge themselves in disciplines outside the traditionally emphasized subjects. Many of our members have shared that despite genuinely enjoying courses like AP Japanese or AP Research, they feel discouraged from enrolling because the lack of weighted credit places them at a disadvantage compared to peers taking weighted courses in other subjects. Students are asking themselves, why take a harder class if it offers no academic benefit beyond a maybe for college credit? This is not a question students should have to wrestle with. Rigor should be encouraged, not penalized. It is especially disheartening that honors biology, a one-semester course, is weighted while AP Japanese, a full-year college-level course, is not. This sends an unintended message that language study, and by extension, global competency, is less valuable. Similarly, honors philosophy is weighted while AP research, another course rooted in inquiry, writing, and critical thinking, is not. Both are humanities-based courses, yet they are treated differently. As student leaders committed to scholarship, service, leadership, and character, we believe that students should be empowered to pursue the subjects that inspire them, not pushed away from them by structural inequities. When students feel that their hard work will not be recognized, they lose motivation to challenge themselves. We have seen this firsthand among our own members while asking for their input on this matter. We respectfully urge the Board of Education to review and revise current weighting policy to ensure fairness, consistency, and recognition of academic rigor across all disciplines, including AP Research, AP Seminar, AP Japanese, and Honors Japanese, as weighted courses would not only reflect the true demands of these classes, but also reaffirm the message that every field of study matters. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to the students of the Commonwealth. We hope you will consider our concerns as part of this important conversation about academic equity. Respectfully, the Marianas High School National Honor Society. Juana Rohana C. Alicio, Farjana Solam, Roxy Lee, Lauren Bay, James Sagana, Francis Hernandez, Trisha Simpa, Shari Sanji.
There's a couple more. To CNMI Board of Education from Dr. Chaz Algeier, teacher, Marianas High School, regarding the course weighting at MHS. Esteemed Board of Education members, thank you for providing this time for me to offer my views on the question of weighting AP and honors classes at Marianas High School. I ask that you read this missive last because I know that by then you will have gotten all of the details about our courses, what is weighted and what not, and so on. The students have clearly analyzed and broken down the issues as AP students should. I have no need to reiterate. Instead, I'd rather look at the big picture of what it means to lead as a Board of Education. The CNMI BOE is guided in its vision by the idea of students first. Its mission states that it will provide access to curriculum and that is challenging and engaging. It stresses that access to such programs should be equitable. All of these are notably positive as vision and mission, but that vision and mission must include the idea of how CNMI students can best compete in the larger framework of the U.S. collegiate academic admission structures. When CNMI students apply at colleges and universities across the USA, they are immediately thrown into a competitive pool of students from across the USA. These kids from strong high schools often have available the full gamut of AP courses available to take. In addition, AP and honors courses at these schools are all weighted, which allows their GPAs to rise as high as possible. When our CNMI students take the same set of courses, theirs are weighted, but ours are not, we put our students at a competitive disadvantage against these USA kids. Initial screening of college application documents is often done by AI or algorithms. The lower numbers don't make it to the next stage of the admissions process. Please don't force our students to start at the back of the academic pack. Put your vision into action and put them first. Allow AP Research, AP Seminar, AP Japanese, and Honors Japanese to be recognized as weighted courses. I would be happy to discuss this topic with you further. Thank you for your time, attention, and service.
Sure, some of these items.
Oh, okay. I think there's one more actually.
I think that's everything.
From Jillian McDowell.
She didn't indicate she wanted it to be for public comments. Hesitant to read it aloud.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's the end of it. Thank you for reading it. Okay. Go ahead and move on to our unfinished business, which is data on the career pathways.
Yes, we're here to update on the career pathways, and I'll have to get Tienza go into a little bit more details, but on the update. Bottom line is, I think we're making huge progress when it comes to this transformation of the entire pipeline. Ending with the career pathway academies in all of our high schools. And it is a huge endeavor, but at the same time, I want to give credit to the folks on the ground who are working it. Always providing their thoughts, their ideas, and even the reluctancy sometimes, right? It is, I think we're catching ourselves towards the tail end of what I been alluding to earlier this week is the storming phase in this transformation. We're gonna be norming here pretty soon, and I will be the one to get us to that point if I need to pressure. But right now, I think today is Friday, and we're meeting with all the principals to discuss one of the major things that has to be rectified before we move on to the next stage, and that is the master scheduling. And the fact that we have double blocking in some high schools and not in other high schools, and what does that mean? And really kind of looking and considering so much the current high school requirements and how that's gonna be changed, and the recommendation to the board and what that's gonna look like when it comes time for that. But we're certainly going to be incorporating and implementing our freshman academy in the beginning of this coming school year. We've done much work on that this week, and I think we should be ready to do that. And we'll progressively get to graduating from freshman academy to the other pathways and the academies within those high schools as the years go by. But we can't obviously transform it overnight. At the end of the day, I am just, again, delighted by the much work that has occurred. I appreciate and I give credit to a lot of the facilitators too that have come by to help us with this. And today, as we speak, Dr. Kelly is down there with our principals and talking the master scheduling, and I'll be there to participate in the discussion. But I think much progress has been made, and we'll get there. Dr. Katienza, would you like to?
Just wanted to make sure you have a chat, you received the update of your email. So just a synopsis of that, since July 2025, the college readiness committee has been working to lead some monthly design sessions to build this work, right, and with partners to build the foundation of the system. This includes developing the key components of the pathways work, the portrait of a graduate, the K-12 continuum of experiences, and then the school academies planning and career pathways planning, the programs of study, as well as student planning tools like 10-year plan, e-portfolio. So those components are still on the way, and this will guide learners and our teachers to support that college career pathway work from elementary through high school. So currently we are in the planning and capacity building phase. As Commissioner just mentioned, we met with earlier in February, Dr. J. Still to continue that work with his technical assistance. And just this week with Dr. Kelly Henderson on effective teaming. So with the pathways, a key piece of that is the academy teaming. And so really building the capacity, starting with the freshman academy teachers. That will start in school year 26-27. And so this is a really, really critical design year. Work underway includes curriculum development, action planning, PD for educators, and really establishing these strong structures to ensure that we are ready to launch next school year. Looking ahead, implementation is beginning next school year with the launch of the freshman academies, followed by some phase expansion of the career pathways. And work-based learning opportunities. We have that currently in place with cooperative education, but in aligning that more towards pathways that we are building across all high schools. Really the vision by 2030 is that all CNMI students are able to experience this cohesive K-12 pathway that supports informed decision-making about their futures, ensuring that they lead the system with post-secondary plans, whether it's at the college, in a career training or in the workforce.
Madam Chair, can I add something? Bear in mind, as we work this internally, and also with the facilitators coming from outside, helping us doing all the work behind the scenes, I'm gonna be confident at the end of all this to say that a lot of work has been done and good work, right? It's not like just trying to kind of do this overnight. So there's a lot of work. Now, what we've recently been doing, since we've been getting the announcement of the reemergence of the comprehensive centers, which is the technical assistants that come out of Washington, DC, coming over and asking us what help do we need in terms of technical assistance for action-based type research and all that. We've been incorporating them into the fold for this particular initiative. So they're here this week as well. Comprehensive Center is here, they're listening into our sessions and they're providing us with some of their feed, but at the same time, seeking from us what more help do we need when it comes to the research behind this initiative that we're working on. So with that, Rail Pacific will be here. There's a member of Rail Pacific work that is also here, but I'm on that council and next week some of the folks from the council are gonna be here as well to talk to our folks about this. Now, you know, gone are the days where these technical assistants come here and we tell them to do some things and they're helping us with some initiatives, but it's never really kind of connected to bring synergy to a lot of the big things that we're doing. And that's just my sheer observation, but now we're working towards that. And they see that too, and they really want to kind of engage with us on bringing synergy to a lot of these technical assistants that they can be providing us based on what we think we need them to help us with, not what they think they should be helping us with. That makes sense, right? So just kind of want to put that out there, that's part of the work here when it comes to the college career pathways. It's not just this one thing that we're doing with several people. It's like all these other things that are coming over and then everybody wrapping their brains around the same initiative, I think is a great thing to just be able to kind of experience. Well, you have anything? Go ahead. No? Any other?
Add one more. So we're really nearing that state that we're, from this planning work, we are able to put into stronger communication with our stakeholders. And so we're trying to really strengthen that piece and how, what this work means for at the district level, at the school level, teacher level, how it affects them, and at the student level. So we're really hoping to get those strong pieces of communication out very soon with videos, with flyers, so that it's clear the message that we're sending across for this work.
Members of the committee, you guys have any questions?
I do, about the freshman academies. I guess first I just want to say thank you. I am really excited that I've been sort of paying attention to all of the updates regarding this initiative. It's really exciting. And I know in the beginning, when I first heard about it was difficult to imagine between the academies and everything underneath and what's going to happen at this school versus what's going to happen at that school. And I just really wondered, like, how would it all come together? And as the months have gone by, starting to kind of really be able to visualize and see. So, I'm excited about it and I hope that the students will also be excited. Initially, I was concerned about like, what if they want to change? Like, why are we forcing middle school students to decide and freshmen to decide? Because in my experience, they still have so many questions about what they want to do when they leave high school. But I was glad to hear, I think at the last PAC meeting, there was that question and it was answered in terms of, yeah, there's going to be flexibility. Students are going to be able to move between academies or in and out. And so that was good to hear. So my question is about the freshman academies and I guess more on the curriculum and the logistics of it. Can you say more, like what will happen in the freshman academies?
Yeah, the intent behind it is obviously to guide students further from what they've experienced in the middle schools, going into the high schools and to prepare them so they can be successful in the 10, 11, 12 grade time that they're there in that high school by virtue of choosing the academy that is to their choice, but at the same time we'll have a structured type of advisement and guidance to guide them through that so that they can successfully graduate to become the portrait. Now, when it comes to the curriculum, I mean, the structure and the courses that are gonna be taught, if that's what you're asking for, we can provide that, or what it's gonna look like.
So MHS is a really good example because they've been doing the cohorted freshmen for several years now. So they're kind of a head start. They've been doing the freshman academy for several years. And so the goal is to have the school within a school. So instead of students taking classes from the period and they're all like in different, they're all in different classmates, different teachers, right? We're hoping to cohort that. So to kind of model that transition between middle and high school, that they're still in that cohorted community. And the teachers are given common planning time to talk about their cohorted students, right? The addition of the freshman seminar class. Right now, we have what's called a high school success class. So we're hoping to kind of transition that into that freshman seminar class where they get to talk about the career pathway choices and all of those pieces that are important for them to make the decision as to what pathway they'll be taking when they enter their sophomore year. So it's really a cohorted experience, teams of teachers working together to provide guidance to that cohort of students in their freshman academies. So depending on the school size, they might have multiple freshman academies within that school.
It also allows us, if I'm not mistaken, to free some of that pressure, relieve some of that pressure in the upper grades as they progress in the way of courses that they could be taking in the freshman academy, so that that relief of pressure could be substituted by the actual CTE courses that we want to get, be included in those grade levels for those pathways, if that makes sense. So you have requirements, right? You have a number of CTE courses that need to occur along the way after the freshman academy. A lot of those courses will be taken up, for instance, with courses that are going to be in the way, but we could actually incorporate those in the freshman academy early on in their high school years, if that makes sense. So, you have this many courses, but then you have this many that need to be CTE courses for the pathway, because this is a new thing. We can take some of those courses and kind of, utilize and teach those in the freshman academy so that it relieves the opportunity for those CTE courses to be taught in those later years.
Questions?
What happens if these freshman students don't want to take those CTE requirements? Like, what is,
I don't know. I mean, it's like, what happens if a student doesn't want to take a social studies course, but it's a required course for graduation? That's how we should approach it, right? I mean, these are courses that we're offering. These are courses that are required for graduation. It's the same thing, right? This is new, and I get the question, right? Like, well, what if I don't really care for that course? Well, there's a lot of students who don't really care for other courses, even up until now, before we even transform this. Does that make sense?
yes,
So what will happen? They're gonna have to be forced to take it, or they're gonna fail, of course, if they don't take it. I mean, that's just gonna be right? And we cannot be accommodating to every bit of concern out there. If we really want to transform, we have to, and I'm not trying to kind of force feed this down the pipe. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to methodically kind of fit it into the pipe. But people just have to be accepting of it and embracing the new change, right? So that's just my response to that question. So great question though, because that's not the first time I've heard of that, right? But I just have to think of how to then respond to that, right? Because it's concerning to a lot of people, because it's something new, something different. But many other school districts have gone through the same transformation, and I'm sure they've been challenged in that same way about this. But just bear in mind that we are doing everything we can to prep the students so that we don't get into a lot of those issues where it's not desired. It's more, we want to do it because we've already prepped them since the grade school, the middle school, and then going into the high school, because it is something that they believe and should be by that time. By the time they get to high school, something that they really want to get themselves into, right? So.
Yeah.
Yes.
that, from what I understand with the freshman academies too, those courses are meant to prepare you for success in the later grades, just like middle school prepares you for high school, elementary prepares you for middle. So it's a progression that, to set the foundation for success once you get into those deeper CTE courses are gonna help you be successful after graduation.
It's a scaffolding
It's a-
effect, right? And it's a cumulative learning experience. So we want to make sure that, students understand that. So thank you for, communicating to them. Also, the good thing that this is going to bring about to those students that come behind you guys. Because when all this is said and done, you all would have graduated, right? So thank you for that.
You can also add. So currently our students are required to take 5 credits of CTE. So right now they kind of take based on student choice, right? Whatever is offered at their school or online. So with the pathway model, those CTE credits, right? They would still have options to do other CTE credits that are not in the pathway, but it's more intentional. They have a really pathway to build on those skills. So it's more about skill development, right? The end goal definitely is that kind of that high school diploma that prepares them for college and career. So building on those skills. So even if maybe they might not end up in the career based on the pathway, but that skill development that they would have built from those 4 classes that are associated with the pathway that is going to translate to what they gained after high school. So it's focusing on skill development. Whatever pathway, right, depending on what the school's offering, is really the goal. And we're hoping to build it so that in a way they have a little bit of a wiggle room in their sophomore year. They might decide, oh, this is not the pathway for me. There's still time, as long as they're locked in by their junior year, they have time to complete those pathway courses. So we're building in that flexibility to make sure that students may not be ready by the time they're sophomores to really commit to a certain pathway.
Okay, I have some questions. First, on some of the things that were already mentioned. Member Tenorio here mentioned that she gained clarity on the idea of flexibility of changing. My understanding is the changing can occur only through sophomore year. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, so flexibility through sophomore year. Yes. And then you mentioned that, Dr. Katienza, that at MHS, they already have this freshman cohort and that already built in to that freshman cohort is allowing the teachers planning time. Is that planning time built into their day or was it on Mondays? And if it was on Mondays, how has it been addressed given that our Mondays were taken away from us?
So my understanding is the teachers are asked to report to MHS by 7:30. So their morning, because they start at a later time at 9, that would be their planning time. Right, and the half-day sessions have definitely impacted the ability for them to meet more, right? So, that is something that a lot of teachers are still vouching for to hopefully get back their half days, because those were very, very beneficial in terms of longer plans and sustained planning time. But it's in terms of prep time and periods, I do not think that they have built-in prep periods. Just because of the 4x4 block and the limitations of that to be able to sustain a prep periods.
Okay, and then under work completed to date in the package you guys gave us, update. When in the first bullet, it mentions the PSS portrait of a graduate and associated metrics. Is this in reference to the poster itself?
Yes.
Okay, so the metrics are the little bullets that are underneath.
There's a QR code and the poster that will lead to the metrics.
Okay. And then regarding the student e-portfolio framework, can you say more about that?
Sure. Yes, so we are considering possibly Canva or Google Sites to be the template for the e-portfolio. We are looking at several models now so that we can kind of provide that training to the teachers and also have a unified template. And it will be starting in the elementary. I think 3rd grade is what the teachers said that they feel that their students can start building on this e-portfolio. So depending on the grade level, it might be a different, to make sure it's grade friendly, student friendly. But moving into middle and high school, looking at the professional e-portfolio template that they build add their artifacts. So by the time they're at their senior capstone, they can present that e-portfolio.
The two bullets down, talks about marketing and outreach strategy. Can you say more about that?
So this is in collaboration with our media, Ms. RJ and Ms. MJ. So we are really looking to market the different pathways that the schools have developed. So it's clear what are options at their school in terms of these pathways, and communicating with the parents, also all of the stakeholders about what this means for the PSS as we shift into this new model. So this communication plan that we're hoping to really strengthen, start pushing out very soon this summer as we are beginning of the freshman academies next year. And then in the following year, we're starting those pathway courses.
Does that impact budget in terms of this marketing and outreach strategy?
This is, I'm gonna defer to Commissioner about the zero-based budget, so he can talk more about that.
And most of what we're doing, the goal is to kind of minimize as much as we can if spending anything or any expenses to this transformation, even with, we're not going to go and hire, a slew of other teachers for CTE, for example. We're looking across the spectrum of teachers that we have and transforming them into CTE teachers and contractually and all that type of stuff. We're doing all that behind the scenes, but when it comes to the marketing, it's like putting together a video. You remember the video we did for school report cards? And it's very informative. It's just like a 2-3 minute video talking about the essence, the importance, and the reason why school report cards are there. It's kind of like having that type of media outreach, if you will, for informing the community. I've been approached by several family members. I've been approached by the PAC about how then, because they appreciate, they love this, but how then do we communicate to the stakeholders, right? The family, parents and all that, so that they can also be excited about it. So that's one thing that we're working on. When it comes to budgeting, we're gonna try and do it as little as much as we can to not spend too much on it. I think we have the capability and the capacity to create something and still be strategically communicate the importance of this. Not trying to hire, too much.
We do have an exemplar. So the video that just came out yesterday, or the MOU and MTech and the MOU signed between PSS and MTech. So the video that was posted on our PSS Facebook is something that we're hoping to replicate, that showcases the pathways and the getting that out, getting students excited, families informed. Like, oh wow, this is exciting, that's happening at the different schools, and it's tailored to each.
I shared that with you all, so. We've seen it. So it's kind of like the same type of quality information that's going to be replicated.
Regarding you mentioning the comprehensive centers, and you talked about them assisting with research, is that research for us to do, or is it research of what exists to support what we're doing?
Or research for them to do for us.
Or research for, so all three,
Yeah, not us to do.
not us to, so we don't do any actions.
We provide data and they give us information, or they go get more data and give us research-based type of assistance.
Under the current phase of work, I attended the meeting where the businesses were invited. Okay, so that was pretty exciting, and I got to see all the different organizations go and write on posters. I was wondering what came of that, and I know it says here in the current phase of work that there's a business advisory board planning. I'm wondering if that advisory board came about from that meeting. And then it also mentions that it was from the 17th to the 20th of February, which means it's done. So where are we in terms of that?
So the different islands, so there will be an advisory board for Rhoda, Saipan, and Tian, built from their businesses there. And so October is the ideal start time for when that first advisory board meeting will take place. So we're hoping that the schools, in coordination with the leadership here, will reach out to the businesses who want to sit on this advisory board. So we do have a framework for the business advisory board, and October is our target date for getting that first advisory board meeting with the different islands.
Okay, but what resulted from that meeting that businesses came about, I guess?
So we had a chance to align, share with them what the draft pathways are and at the different schools. And so they provided input as to what certifications would match with those pathways. So we got some really key information from them as to what we can share with the schools in terms of aligning certifications that align with the businesses here.
Mind you, if I may, mind you, that's not the end all be all, right? Just because they came and they presented, doesn't mean that we are stuck at that, right? There's gonna be other ways of reaching out to the industry partners to inform us on what valuable certifications should be incorporated into these pathways. So, and that's why the advisory board is very important. So once we get a good handle on who's gonna be sitting on there, who's gonna be leading those advisory boards, maybe it's advisory council, not a board. We'll be getting more information that we'll be structuring because we're not going to be ready to provide the pathways next year. We're in the building phase, the design phase. We're trying to build the freshman academy so we can prototype that freshman academy coming year. And subsequent, the year after this coming year would be then the pathway. So we'll be ready then with the type of certifications that are gonna be used. Yeah, so the bottom line is we're not trying to rush to, to get there. We're methodically getting there. And I think we have good timing. I just gotta get over this storming phase with just the master scheduling and you can compared to the requirements for high school graduation so that we can then present that back to them. That's more, in my opinion, an immediate thing, but the industry partners, they are giving us a lot of great ideas, and that first opportunity to engage with them was really just our way of saying, hey, look, this is what it's gonna be. We need you there.
In the same document, there's different bullet sizes. Do those mean anything, or is that just?
I'm sorry, it's big formatting. Formatting, I think
It's just formatting?
We use 3 different AI.
I just wanted to know if I need to read it a certain way because there's all these different sizes of bulleting. But, okay, so under the next steps, and then you mentioned this school year 26-27, which is next year, right? Will be the launch of the freshman academies. I know that this year there was pilot that was happening with the freshmen in terms of about the name of the course, but something akin to
Freshman seminar.
that one probably. So these students who went through that are not gonna be part of the academies, the career academies. Is that correct? Or are they part?
No, because they will be sophomore next year.
Right.
The ones that are gonna be going into freshman academy are the 8th graders now, that we're going to prep their academy for coming into there. So we're gonna follow that cohort. Because when we build the pathways, there'll be the 10th graders will fit right into the pathways, and then we'll follow them in the 11th grade and the 12th grade as we build all this. So that's the intent behind it is we're building it and watching this first cohort go through.
So love to see that the current students don't have access to certification and those pathways. I mean, it's more based on, we currently have programs to support that. We have the CNMI program in the summer, we have the IT programs that happen sometimes after school, the hospitality and tourism. So these are usually like built-in after school, in the summer based on student availability. So with the pathway model, we wanted to build this within the school time because we know that in terms of transportation, right, equity, like giving the students those opportunities within the time that we have them would, that would increase equity for all our students. So being more intentional, and it's not just random, oh, here's the opportunity, hopefully you can make it. And maybe you can get them certification, but we're really building them towards that success. So it's happening now, but in, just in different, it's.
Yeah, in fact, that's just the beauty of this transformation. In essence, it's intentional and it should be equitable because we're given every opportunity for everyone to have the same experience. Right? None of the days where only the higher achieving students are the ones running to the counselor seeking other opportunities and after school opportunities they can afford to get to, and then dismissing the fact that there are some who are vulnerable and can't make it to those opportunities. We're trying to align everything so that everybody gets that opportunity, and we're monitoring everybody. We're making sure everybody gets to that same type of graduate, if you will. Some are going to be higher achieving by the time they graduate, but at least we have a profile for a good achieved graduate and work towards that.
I do have just one more question. Clarity question. The last time we met and we had the update on career pathways. I don't know if it was Dr. Leewag or Dr. Taylor who stated, if the student is not happy with the career pathways offered at their school, they can move to another school. However, we were told at our school level meeting, this is not the case. So I just want to know if things have changed.
We're working through that and it's gonna be a policy driven implementation when we get to that point. Right, we're looking at several different ways of doing that.
So it was
One way,
well stated previously may not be the case anymore.
no, what was previously,
That if a student doesn't like the pathways offered at Southern because there's something offered at MHS that they want, that they should be able to transfer to MHS.
it should be, well, we're working towards that, so that
Okay,
they're given that
at
opportunity
the school
to.
level, we're told if they don't like it, they're not allowed to transfer to MHS. So that
No.
there's a
But
miscommunication.
that's the thing is that if nothing is final, there's a lot of conversation around, should we or should we not allow, right? The school level should not be saying that it's already final, that no one is going to be allowed. We're working towards making it allowable, we're working towards how to make it allowable and what guardrails are we going to put in place when it's implemented to allow it to happen. Right now, I can tell you that we're thinking of making it allowable with guardrails to the point where it's not gonna be based on sports, recruitment, for example, and it's gonna be if you're allowed to move to another school because that is the pathway you want to get into. We would certainly entertain that. You move and transfer to that school, but the moment your grades go down or some of those criterias would cause you to go back to the original school. So there's intentionality in moving from one school to the next and not just open. So open is not allowed, but moving is allowed as long as we define exactly and we're clear exactly on what the criterias are so that people understand, that they are not just gonna randomly do that, right? If that makes sense.
And if I may also, understanding that there is seating capacity, right, based
Yeah.
on these, so we need to take that into consideration. So, really coming up with SOPs to determine the selection, because we know that there will be, some students who will be interested in, pathways offered at other schools. So we're gonna, hopefully get a really, really good, SOP policy in place to ensure that it's fair, based on capacity.
Yeah, so that one part of the homework is really also to have the schools kind of offer to us what the capacity is gonna be so that we know. So by the time everything is said and done and it's in place, we know how many seats are available for how many who would desire to move into those other pathways, right, from another school. So that's one, and there's a lot of other things that we're working towards to make sure that we do this in the most appropriate way possible.
Any other follow-up questions before we move on?
I do.
Okay,
So just based on the information just shared, so you're talking about the eighth graders going into the freshman academy. Is there some work being done with the eighth graders too, since it's kind of new to? I know we talked about a comms plan, but I wasn't sure if that included the eighth graders.
Yes, there is going to be a lot of communication between the eighth grade or the middle schools and the high schools feeding into that, and that will occur quicker than we want to, right?
For them to.
Well, yeah, but as far as preparing them, it's too late. It's already halfway through the year, right?
Right.
They're eventually just gonna fall into this academy.
Yeah.
But the academy should be designed to the point where we're not gonna fail any student out of it either, just because it's a new thing, right? But there's gonna be certainly, one of the things though, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the biggest thing in all of this transformation that we're really kind of excited about is how to fix the transition from one grade level to the next grade level and the underperformance of students from that one grade level, and how do we prepare them to be performing students in the next grade level. And that's, if you ask me what the comprehensive center we've been asking them to do, and Rail Pacific, is to really kind of help us with that type of it's new, right? It's no longer just, hey, move on to the next grade level. We're really so we're gonna be reporting back to the board on how we're doing in terms of addressing that issue.
Yeah.
The transitional phases of our students from one to the next level,
Yeah.
one level to the next level, because it's,
Yeah, otherwise your scaffolding won't work, right? You're talking about scaffolding.
yeah, and the growth and all those things, we keep talking about that, but really, what are we doing to fix it? Because that transitional phase is really where it matters most, that we could, that at our level, be able to kind of see an effect,
Mhm.
right?
I have one more question.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned certifications. You mentioned certifications earlier, but I know you're talking about student certifications as they are graduating or moving out of the academies. But I'm also wondering about teacher certification. So you talked about like no budget, not hiring new teachers. So I imagine that teachers are gonna have to be
Yes,
certified to do new things. So I'm guessing between now and next year, that's something that's going to be included and worked on, or is there current work already? I didn't notice that in the,
yeah,
go ahead, because you're smiling.
she's excited because I tagged her for it. So I said, one thing PSS is really good at is providing opportunities for professional development. We are professional developed, practiced at that skill set, right? Like, no one can challenge us on
Or,
PSS is professional development. One thing that PSS could do a lot better at is really targeting the professional development to the efforts that we're doing for our students from a holistic standpoint, not from just individually making teachers be certified and be good at what they do. It's really so we've approached this from the standpoint as we're transforming the pipeline for our students. We're also not transforming the pipeline for our teachers, but we're really kind of very focused and intentional in how then we create a program for professional development that is targeting what it is that we're needing to do in this transformation to make it a successful transformation, right? And then be able to kind of articulate back to the board on the investment that we've had when it comes to spending on the professional development provide for our teachers, certification and everything, right? And lastly, I was asked this question and like how smart have we been as a system since 19 whatever, right? How have we grown too as a system? No one's been able to measure that other than to say, well, our students are performing and they're graduating and our graduation rate is this, that, and the other. But how as an organization have we too, right? So there's no big keeper of the knowledge of our organizational staffing, right? To say that we've done so many professional development and therefore we've grown. You can say that we've grown, but where is the measure for that? Can we say that? Maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, she's excited to talk about it because we're really kind of forcing this issue as well.
So I think there was really intentional planning done when the schools created their pathways to ensure that they're leveraging the capacity of their current staff. So the staff currently may already are certified to teach those pathway courses. In terms of additional certifications, so we are, it's exciting to see that our consolidated grants, our new cycle will be kind of aligning to this work that we are doing, and so supports for certifications there in the PD project, as well as possibility of like micro credentialing. For the soonest implementation, the freshman academy, the freshman seminar course, we already have purchased a curriculum for the teachers, so we have that for them. We are planning to build a exemplary course on Blackboard so that they have that resource for them as well. So for that one specifically, there is no certification required to specifically teach a freshman seminar, right? But I think the schools have already identified who the teachers will be, so we're hoping to get that resource. The resource of the curriculum is ready with them, but building that exemplary Blackboard course for them to utilize as they build their, implement the first class will be there for them. And then we will work through for school year 27, 28, getting those certifications for those teachers who will teach those first pathway courses in 2 years from now.
That's a very good example of what I was just talking about, like, right, targeted and really kind of intentional. So we're really careful on the professional development opportunities that we provide, that we would be seeking, and making sure that it's again aligning with this transformation.
Follow-up question,
Yeah,
so you have a program purchased for freshman seminar, right?
Yes.
So does that mean, is it HMH, is it HQIM, or are we phasing out HMH?
It's from the National Career Academies Council. So it's specific for that course. So HMH will still continue, that's for the core content. But freshman seminar is an elective course. So that is the curriculum for the elective course.
But it's also, sorry, it's also aligned to the national standards.
Yes, national standards, practice.
Practice.
National Career Academy.
So when we're done with all this and we're accredited, nationally recognized as an academy district, right? We would have then been incorporating a lot of these national standards of practice.
It's a standalone course, it's not a
But
daily class or.
actually, it's a standalone course.
But I recall correctly. Taylor was sitting here and she gave me, I think it was when Jackie was you. She gave this huge thing about career pathways, saying, oh, it's not really ready, but in there, it stated geometry for carpenters. Does HMH have geometry for carpenters? You know, that's my real question here. Are we gonna be phasing out HMH if we're doing what you had mentioned earlier? About really thinking about the big picture and integrating everything. Does it make sense to still have an HMH book that maybe doesn't say geometry for carpenters? That's my question.
My understanding is that the core will remain the same, right? In terms of science, social studies, English, math, right? What is our core curriculum that remains untouched? It's the career pathway courses that we're really looking at. Those standalone career pathways, there is chance for integration. Is it from like ELA into those pathway courses? But in terms, and hopefully we can, make the connections for project-based learning that can integrate. But in terms of the curriculum, we have it for another 3 years, so that will still remain with VSS.
Yeah, but I see what your point is too, because we've had this discussion where, even the ELA folks could also tailor a lot of their, lessons towards the pathways that, because that's the beautiful thing about being in the academy, is that the students, what pathways they're getting after, right? And so you can also perhaps have the opportunity to change your lesson plan, but certainly the HMH material hopefully would enhance the innovation of that teacher to change some of that lesson planning so that it kind of is also very well aligned with, some sort of a thing in that pathway that the students can relate to,
Yeah, so the integration hopefully is through project-based learning, right?
How does that impact OCI when they're looking for fidelity and then you're not able to be as, to follow the curriculum HMH the way it's meant to be, because you wanna be flexible to, like you said, the beauty of the pathway, what the students are doing, wanna tailor it to them. How does that work?
I think it remains the same in terms of the core. They are still expected to, the teachers, right, will still be expected to teach those standards, right? Still do the implementation of the curriculum as is currently, right? The pathway courses, sit separately, and that's where the pathway work will occur in those pathway courses. Of course, because the teachers they're kind of in teams now, right? There's more interdisciplinary conversations that they will have amongst, with their cohort of students, right? And possibility of those project-based learning experiences to connect what's happening in the pathway to their, relevant courses, but it's not expected to supplant, right? The core is still the core for HMH, for the classes.
And if I may, I'm going to be meeting with a lot of my counterpart folks, right, the state chiefs of education. And I'm going to ask them, because HMH and HQMI was introduced by CCSSO. That's the big meeting that I'm going to be going to. And a lot of my colleagues have incorporated HQMI, right, into their state level capacity, policy wise, and then filtering it out to the district level. And I'm sure that a lot of those districts have transformed their ways of teaching as well into the academy and the pathways. So I will seek, to see if there are any, things that we can learn from as well when it comes to that, right, into causing, core type of teaching from HMH to be interdisciplinary because of the transform pathway and academies that we have. They're undertaking, if you will. So, yeah, I'll be having that type of discussion with a lot of my colleagues the coming week. So,
So it's not meant to supplant, it's just something.
yeah, it's supplement, it's not taking over. And then we're not asking the teachers of those courses either to change the way they teach, we're just asking them to innovate more and be more sensitive to the type of students that they'll be getting to be able to teach.
Yeah, for my question. If I may, so I was looking back, I was remembering back on the graphic, the portrait of a graduate graphic or flyer that PSS has been sharing with the board. And I recall that one section was about culture, right? Like, and it was building from elementary to middle school to high school. And I'm trying to remember the exact word, but it was all about cultural competency and there was something about global in the high school. I can't remember the exact, and I'm trying to like find it, but so how, given that, part in the portrait of a graduate, how are we creating the pathways to respond to that? Is there going to be like a CCLHS academy, or how are we addressing that part of the portrait of a graduate with the pathways? I don't know if
That's a lot of, makes a lot of sense and
Yeah.
it's very good question. But my first reaction to that is we're not ready to get to that point yet. What we need to do is fix the CCLHS program, which is designed for today. And then fix this transformation and then later on incorporate it into those pathways. But if we fix the CCLHS program, the way we intentionally want to do it today, it still meets the competency that we're looking for towards that portrait of a graduate. Because that portrait of a graduate that we will get at the end, if we do fix our CCLHS, would have a better awareness of its culture, of their culture, and you know what I'm saying? So though we're upping our game when it comes to the culture side of things, but I'm not sure that we're ready to start teaching automotive from a cultural standpoint, that type of stuff. So yeah, it maybe eventually one day that would be nice to have, but right now, I think that's.
Sure, and I was more thinking of like not necessarily building in the CCLHS component into the current pathways, but is there going to be a pathway
For
that, or an academy or a pathway that students can enter if they want to be proficient in the languages or in the culture, whether it be medicine or other cultural practices, outrigger or Taladza or whatever. So is that something that we are thinking about?
That is, yes, ma'am, that is something we are thinking about and discussing, but I have not, because the first thing for the way I want to approach it is to allow the schools to provide them the opportunity and empower them to come up with what they think is important, necessary, to be able to offer for students in the years as pathways, right? But they know their situations, they know their grounds, or at least they should. And while we even know their ground, we don't want to kind of, we want to kind of just allow that empowerment to happen. And so we're having that discussion, but none of them has come up with a pathway like that, but we've had that discussion. Would it be nice to have that? Right? And I think eventually we will get to that point, but not there yet. There's something else that I want to say about that, but so yeah, the discussion is there. the opportunity is there. I think we just want to kind of let these, because even the current pathways that we have in front of us, they're still also trying to kind of, they're evolving as we build them.
We'll continue
You want
to keep that in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, so currently the measure, because we don't have a pathway for CCHS studies in the high school, and there could be one in the future, because I think the pathways are meant to be flexible, so depending on the needs and the industry is changing, so it's meant to be flexible, it's not fixed or.
Yeah.
But for the cultural awareness, the metrics that were recommended, right, is because, we don't have that pathway. Completing a cultural fair project and showcasing this in the e-portfolio for the high school, taking a world language class. Obviously, we don't have tomorrow in all of the high school campuses now, but at least demonstrating some sort of cultural awareness through competency in the world language class. And then we have also indicators for the middle and the elementary school. So kind of building out those and these metrics definitely change as well.
Yeah, and as an example, another opportunity for a pathway later on down the road would be service. Or nonprofit, type. There's a lot of students out there who just wanna work for nonprofit organizations, and so do we create a pathway for that, maybe, and even like military service, I know a lot of districts today have military as a pathway that students can get into. So there's discussions around that, right? And it kind of goes in line with your question about the cultural thing, right? Like the expert in the culture, right? A scholar to be in the culture. We'll certainly,
Yeah.
but again, it's,
One of the things you continue to discuss and see how, okay.
yeah, and as we align it with the economic needs, right? So right now, they're being aligned towards the economic needs, but there are other opportunities for further than beyond that, right? I also am very keen in listening to, where the military is going when it comes to this region and their influence and our own buildup of a National Guard, for example. And so how do you create a pathway for, exciting folks to go into that type of career opportunity?
That's it, promise.
Thank
you.
All day, right? By the way, Miss Monica and I have been having this discussion too about how do you teach and also incorporate a lot of the cultural aspects of things in the way of teaching, but we're slowly getting, and we'll eventually hopefully get there one day, soon.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on to new business.
They said soon, tomorrow.
Star data. Sue?
That week. Yes,
Star data.
star data.
Good morning. So let me start off by giving you an overall picture of the status of the STAR assessment for BSS on screener tool. So it looks like the STAR early literacy, we're at 61%. STAR reading, 63%, and STAR math at 55%. So I guess we have to look into school level data so that we can figure out where the concerns are, so that we can move on from there and see what kind of support we can give to our schools. So for the STAR early literacy, is it okay if I move on to the STAR early literacy? You can see that the STAR early literacy, we test kindergarten and first grade in STAR early literacy, and we report that data. If you look at the kindergarten, we're now to 65%. For screener 2 from 49. So something wonderful is happening there. And then for first grader, we took a dive a little bit. So it's a state of concern. Overall, the PSS met its goal for STAR literacy at 61%. start reading. We reported grades 2 to 5. And you can see that the second grade, there's quite an increase. 67, 71, then grades 3 and 4 needs some attention. And then fifth grade, it took a very significant increase from 57 to 67. So again, BSS managed school at 61%, which is the target for 25, 26.
I don't think they met it yet, right? This is 58%.
From 58 to 61.
That was screener,
Yeah, so screener.
screener 1, 58, and then 62, screener 2. If I may, what we've been talking to the schools about is the way they set their own goals, and we're telling them not to set it to the district goal, set it beyond the district goal, so they can at least help us achieve the district goal. And that's what they've been doing, right? When they submit their school-wide improvement plan, they look at these things and they actually try to set their goals and strategize to get to that goal by virtue of many programs that they are investing in. But did you see the summary that we had, like per school on the first grade reading achievement, for example, moving closer to proficiency? You know, those are very valuable, I think, highlights to present.
So for the middle school reading, I think you can see there that none of the grade levels met the 61%. But it's good to know that they're working out of their own goals, the schools setting their own goals. Simple steps trying to get up to the district expectation. So we need attention there. We know that the 8th grade, we see an increase of 2 points. So PSS is at 51%. Or screener 2. For the high school, I don't know what happened there, but it looks like all the grade levels.
So Mr. T, before we go to the high school, I'm just looking at the middle school.
Yeah.
Can we see the data on 6th grade? Where some of the schools are coming from to feed into the middle school. And I ask that because I know, for example, WSR has a way of prepping their 5th graders to become 6th graders by changing their the daily scheduling of their students. And I wanted to see if that is, something that we could use as a model, because when I had the discussion, I think it was helping their soon-to-be 6th graders perform when the time they get to 6th grade when it comes to, because then they've adjusted to moving from an elementary student to a middle school student. Because again, that's probably the reason why 6th graders they're like that shock effect, right? From getting used to being elementary school students and now being in the middle school. Besides the development in the brain and all that, there's an environment is another thing that they probably are, there should be indicators to why they are lesser performing in middle school. So WSR, for example, if we look at their 5th graders from last year and their 6th graders this year compared to other schools that feed into the same middle school, right? Disaggregate it down to that level and see the comparison. Right, we may be able to kind of say, yeah, their model works and that we need to incorporate that more with there are other elementary schools who have been very aggressive in communicating to the middle schools about the students that they're about to send to them. Right, but again, every school varies, right? Each school varies in the way they approach that. What we're trying to do is at the district level, trying to kind of become aware from the district standpoint and then be able to to come up with some sort of directive to incorporate. That's what I mean by transition, you know, that's a very, this right here is an indicator of that problem that I see when it comes to the transition of our students from one to the next level.
As a matter of fact, we transition our students twice throughout their education on. So that means it can take a pause.
Yeah.
Try to readjust to the new environment, because from moving on fifth to sixth grade, yeah, that's another, and then from eighth grade to the ninth grade, that's another transition. So
I hear it all the time. I talk to fifth graders. Are you ready for middle school? You should be excited. They're like, no, we're not. We don't know what it's gonna be like, right? And you talk to fifth graders in WSR and they're like, yeah, I think we know what it's like because we switch around, you know, classrooms, see different teachers or whatever. And so we kind of are given that taste, right? You go to Rhoda and you see the fifth graders visiting, I mean, not fifth grade, but sixth grade because it's junior high. But even just that transition, they're visiting and they're becoming part of that environment already throughout their last year in the elementary school. You know, so those are very effective practices, right? That I think we should continue to investigate and
yeah,
incorporate if we need to.
The fifth grade academy
Fifth grade academy, yeah.
cohorted and supporting that transition. But yeah, it's a good point of looking at those contributing factors of success. How we can see it in the data.
And then you take MTSS and overlay it again on top of that and see if, you know, they're moving from one tier to the next tier in the wrong direction, right? When they move into this new environment, right? And what's causing that? And then try to kind of get them back into the previous tier, if that makes sense. Those are, right, and that's what I mean by when we were talking to CCs and then Rail Pacific is like bringing synergy to a lot of these tools that we have. And I'm glad that NCAC, the facilitator of our transformation of the academies, are very well aware of all the various tools that we have, and they're trying to help us bring synergy so that it all feeds into the goodness for this transformation rather than be left alone out there doing its own thing, right? Yeah, you're chuckling because
we're gonna look.
you've seen it all.
We're gonna look into it, but that's a good suggestion. So I mentioned that the high schools, they all met the district goal. Overall, PSS got 69%. So for Star Math, we reported first grade to fifth grade. So you can see that none of the grade levels reached 61%. Guess we're gonna keep on asking why until we find a why.
And do it.
And so, but that's where we're at with Screener 2. There's some increases in some of the grade levels, but and then some grade levels, they went to the different direction. I think it's called South. For the for middle school math, it's the same picture we're looking at. It's quite a challenge. They're showing increases in grade 7 and grade 8. So PSS is at a stalemate, 47%. Didn't move anywhere, so that's the status of our middle school math. High school math, it shows that 11th grade, it's the only grade that, in math, 11th and 12th grade, met the district goal. 9th grade, so it could be part of that transition the commissioner was talking about. They have to pause and get to know their environment first. New classmates, new teachers. But that's the status of our high school math. But for PSS, it went up 4 points. So as we build the data further down, this was where we're gonna get into perhaps put a finger somewhere and say, okay, maybe we need to uh, find adequate support for schools. And as you can see that some school made it before the started literacy. And some showing increases. But there yet, but overall for PSS is the goal. PSS not here. That's WSR. Our reading for the elementary. There's like several schools have met the 61% goal for the district. Some are really close, just a little push to get there. And the district met the goal of 61%. Star math. Looks like yeah. So we've seen earlier in terms of the overall map. Now we're looking at individual schools and it looks like we met the goal. That's really true. Schools. It's like those schools met the goal. 61%. Star reading, sorry. Star math for middle school. We have 2 schools that met the goal. For the high school star reading. Looks like all the schools met the district goal.
For the most part, Mr. T, are they meeting their own goals that they set? Schools. Right, I sense that from our data dive that they are essentially meeting their own goals, it's just may not be meeting the district goal, but what I've also asked them is that to set their goals to also the point where they could be reasonable for them to meet and not try to, say that they want to be at 80 when they know they have been struggling at 40, right? Slowly get up there to a goal that they could meet, and I think they've been achieving a lot of their goals. And it also has to do with what they've been designing their own enrichment programs to help them with those areas of trying to raise their achievement rates.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, are you done?
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Oh, you can finish your report. Then you can ask it. Are you finished? Oh. So my question was, maybe in the future you can include those. Because it's hard to kind of understand where each school's at if we're only looking at the district targets and who's meeting the district targets. I mean, I don't disagree that the schools should, set their own goals, but we are still seeing a lot of schools that are dipping for screener 2. And I feel like this was also true last year, if I remember correctly. So I don't know if it's like a timing issue for the time when screener two is being done. Or because like, for example, for Tinian, that's like 30-point drop between screener one and screener two for their middle school reading. And if you look at the middle school overall, there is, you know, a drop there. But there are other middle schools within, are included in that, that actually improve between screener one. There was growth between screener one and screener two, but because of this really significant drop for Tinian, so I'm curious about that. Why are we dropping between screener one and screener two? And then specifically for this Tinian one, was there something else that was contributing to the significant drop? Do we not have a lot of students taking the test, or do we know?
We'll come back to you on that.
Okay,
Best thing, can we just focus on TDN and get that? That is very, I agree, we should look into that. I don't know what happened.
I know you're gonna do your.
But that's screener 1 to 2, right? I'm looking
Yeah,
at outcome assessment at the end, right? But yeah, but something should be looked into what happened between 1 and 2.
yeah.
Maybe there were more absences and not as many students took it because it was a flu season or whatever, right? Which I found out.
And I haven't looked back, oh, sorry.
Sorry, just gonna it's a percentage. Not if there's perhaps. It's the percentage.
But I remember last, I don't know if it was two ISA meetings ago, I don't know if it was Dr. Lewack that was saying that attendance really impacts the star reading result. I'm trying to remember what we were talking about, but I feel like we were asking this question, like why
Yeah.
are we dipping between 1 and 2?
I could.
And that was one of the things that we talked about, like, because it's after we're coming back from school break, or I'm not sure what's happening.
That could be, but for me, when it comes to attendance, is the many absences that the students have, not being able to be prepared for the test. That becomes problematic. So that pattern of absences is one thing that we're looking at when it comes to absenteeism, and then kind of triangulate it over towards the performance of the same students, right? And seeing, because my philosophy is for every one day you miss school, that's just learning loss, right? And for when there's learning loss, then you're not going to be as highly performing when you're tested. Because if you have many of those learning losses, some students are better at catching up than others. Some students are better at falling further behind than others, so. Yeah, when it comes to absenteeism, that's what I really look into. And then sure enough, yeah, maybe a lot of them just did not come and take the test that day, or maybe the internet was slow that day, or maybe there's some issues that day. There's other things that we are. And so even with IT, I try to make sure that when it comes to test days, we're prepared, right? And we're giving not warning, but messages to everybody on campus to make sure that they're not overly using the information highway, so that students who are taking the test are not impacted with the clutter in the network.
I think we're at the high school star math. That looks pretty good for some schools. Then we have the data for our subgroups. Subgroups will always need some support. Gals. Ability.
All I know is, I want to say to the board that, the administrators at all schools, when they see the STAR data, how the students take the test, they're seriously looking at the categories that students fall into after the assessments are done. And so if they're not in the at or above or proficient, and they're in the intervention or urgent intervention, they're disaggregating and they're finding, and we're talking to them about the interventions that are being conducted and how well that's, and we can even look at it from one screener to the next screener, or maybe from one grade level to the next grade level, from one year to the next year on the same students. And, again, my message is we are at that level of detail for the most part across the district when it comes to just trying to kind of figure out what's causing the underachievement of our students, and then what interventions are properly being put in place to affect that. That's our start data.
Okay. Does anyone have questions? Sure.
For the elementary level, for STAR early literacy, did PSS meet the district goal? Because for STAR reading, it shows the data and whether it's better or not, and STAR math, it also shows. But for STAR early literacy.
Yes, 61%.
We're beyond the early literacy is the best, the better performer in those three different.
I have. I want to start off with, the last report that I had written up for, at our last regular board meeting. I had indicated that by looking at the cohort data, which I know we don't need to really see here since this is the middle of the year. It was grades 3, 5, and 6 that are consistently problematic regardless of the cohort that's in grades 3, 5, and 6. I want to know if work has been done to address this. This is for STAR math. Your STAR reading was fine in terms of cohort, it varied with the cohort data. There was nothing consistent, unlike STAR math. Grades 3, 5, and 6 were consistently.
Some work has been done. I just don't have the details on what work has been done, but we'll come back and report what that is. Can we investigate that between two?
I guess that's ARs. I mean, OCI.
So I can specifically reach out to for support with their math team. Mr. Gus Boston did the additional observations and did provide a recommendation for the math team to take a look at some of those pieces. So kind of based on school level requests, but we'll definitely try to make a more basic plan, target those grade levels.
So it's based on the meeting in 10 years. Because that's the last time I was able to give a report for a regular board meeting.
If you like, I can share some of the recommendations and maybe that could be something we can consider for applying for the other schools as well. But this one is specifically for his middle school observations, right? He's recommended next steps would be strengthening the implementation of the into math lesson design. There's a module in HMH, I think Pathway to Success is what it's called, that he's hoping, he recommends the teachers take to really understand this piece. Evidence-based math supports when appropriate, aligned to the Watford Clearinghouse recommendations. Establishing brief daily fluency routine, and then the continued progress monitor. So those are is a big pieces for the math.
And that's great for us. Yeah. District level, I'm concerned about grades 3, 5, and 6 consistently underperforming. And I think PSS should be concerned because it's consistent. The data that was reported to us states that. I don't know if it's changed because we will have to wait till the end of the year data to see if there have been any improvements. But I think if we're not intentional, as you mentioned, about getting the grades that have been consistently underperforming, then it's a crapshoot whether or not we're gonna see an improvement in the end of year data.
What grade levels are?
3, 5, and 6. And this is based on the cohort data that was provided to us. Last. I don't remember the TNM meeting date. Do you?
October something.
That was when I put the report in. So it was prior to that actually.
Perhaps we can look at it from different angles.
Sure.
If we can look at it from the classroom, school, or student factors, what are some of these things that are attributes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's consistent across the system. There's something happening.
Look at the curriculum, share. Because one question that not a lot of people want to talk about, but it's a question that's worth asking. Do teachers have what it takes to teach this content?
Absolutely.
So that's why we have to get it from different factors.
Sure. I think it's an important question. It's an uncomfortable question, but I think if
Right.
we look at it from the standpoint of, if not, support channels provide them so that they have what it takes, because it's specific to math. The reading is.
And what kind of support that we can put like PDs and
CEO, we mentioned we're expert as PD, so we should be help our teachers in grades 3, 5, and 6, right? With the math content, they might need content PDs.
We're a go at PD station.
Okay.
But the thing about the math thing, and I just, by third grade, if they're not at the multiplication table level, they're gonna be missing out on the fifth grade. Fifth grade, right?
But it's-
It's a cumulative
But it's
learning.
strange that in grade 4, there's no issue. So grade 3, which is what you're saying, okay. But then it should stand to reason that the subsequent grades would also be problematic, but none of the other grades are really that problematic compared to.
What's the standard at fifth? Fractions, maybe, I don't know,
Third is fraction.
third is fractions,
5th and 6th grade will be ratios,
ratios.
ratio reasoning, getting ready for algebra.
That's one thing to also look and see if they even understand, because them from moving from memorization to actually, the analytical piece on knowing why such calculation is important, right? And is that where they could start being introduced with problem solving and I don't know, so, but those are some of the things. The last thing is the science of the cognitive development and whether or not teachers understand the developmental stage that students are at that point in time when they're trying to deliver, the lesson, right? And not being sensitive or being too sensitive. It could go either way. Does that make sense? And I've had discussions with people outside the CNMI about the science of the development of cognition along the development of the human, right? And whether or not our teachers are keen to that. And or are they just delivering the material for the sake of delivering the material, and they're teaching it really well, but they're not really sensitive to the developmental phase of where that student is at that point in time. There's a gap there, and I heard that it's nationally across the board when it comes to that gap of not knowing.
Doesn't the HQIM address that though?
It's supposed to, but
So you have your work cut out for you. Got it.
thank you, yes, ma'am.
Wanted to add?
Sure, yes, so
If I could just do research every day, I would, if I could commissioner work. I would.
we'll commit to coming up with a plan to address this, right? Obviously, there's a need for intervention here with these identified grade levels. In terms of trying to triangulate the data, we do have macro assessment data available to us for these grade levels, so it'd be good to start at that point to see what that macro assessment data is telling us in relation with the STAR data. So hopefully we can see this bigger picture of what's happening at those grade levels. Yeah. And then ambient data as well, with the classroom observations. So we'll try to figure out the story that's happening at the third, fifth, and those identified levels.
Triangulation is very important.
I want to also add to Member Januari's concern about the dips in the winter test. And I think the bigger question really is, and she mentioned it because she said, I think I remember it being like that also last year. Are you guys, are you worried about this, or have you looked at mid-year tests and see that it really doesn't, with the exception of that Tinian drop, I would say, does it really matter? I can only speak from my classroom and say, I've noticed that when my kids dip, but at the end of the year, it doesn't matter because the end of the year is what counts. But I don't know if that's the case at a district level. So has ARE looked into that to see if that's the norm, that it typically can drop and it's not something to be worried about?
Well, we can look at the scheduling of the test. We want to administer at the beginning of the year so that we can have a data to work with. And then, because the third one is the one that we report. The third screen. And perhaps we can move the screener to before the holidays.
Yes.
If that's the concern. But well, we can try it out and see if it works. Because I know that sometimes when students are too relaxed during the holidays, so. Can I just,
If I may, I think that the question is to look into it and to see whether is it the scheduling, it may not be, maybe something else. To kind of take a look at previous years, and then also like nationally, is it common for students to dip in screener too? I think that's what we're kind of asking, is to look into it further to see whether it's nothing to worry about or it's something unique to our district.
Yeah.
And we need to worry about it.
And yes, we will definitely, I will be interested to find out what's causing the dip in the screener too. But as I look at the assessment, 3 phases of each assessment, right, it's to assess whether or not they're proficient at that. So screener 1, yes, it matters because they need the practice. They need to be introduced to the material. They're gonna be tested at the end of the year, whether or not they're making it, right? So we can at least have a good litmus test on who, coming from the previous grade level to this current grade level, have prepared these students to be proficient at that current grade level, right? That's good, but the practice is good. And then the second one, yeah, scores are good and all that is good to know, but at least they got the practice again, taking the test. The outcome one is the one that's really, if we're dipping it by the time the outcome comes around, then I don't know what happened in trying to make sure that over the course of that 1 year, we're trying to make sure students are proficient so that when we take the test, they're at least showing and demonstrating the proficiency level at that rate they're being tested. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Because when we
do.
test them in the beginning, it's not like, hey, you need to score well at 4th grade level, but you just came from 3rd grade year, Go ahead.
Well, you do expect to see a little bit of a dip between the end of 3rd grade and 4th grade, or any time you go from one grade to the next because of that summer slide. That's typical. And then you have your first screener as your baseline for that grade, so you can project the outcome at the end of the school year. There is variation when you get from the first screener to the outcome exam. It could go up, it could go down. It's pretty normal. But ideally, you want it to go up always, but if you see a dip go down, it's data to tell you if there's a gap in your instruction, if there's a gap in the instruction to the assessment. It's just information to help inform the last. But when there is something more alarming, like what we're seeing in Tinian, that's where the district, puts a magnifying glass on it and say, what are these other factors contributing to this? Because if it's only seen at one school, then that's the outlier we need to focus on. So in terms of like greater trends, it's not abnormal to see slight increases or decreases, but we really want to try and focus support on the schools that do see greater dips that is not a norm at their school. So it is a concern.
we're gonna look more into the situation in Tinian. But I'm certain that it has to do with students not tested or attendance. But we're looking to it. Like that.
And also look and see what previous years have indicated for the same school.
I also wanna touch back to what member Tenorio here mentioned about the school goals. Because if it's not indicated here too, then I think in addition to it being confusing, are they meeting their goals because you allow them to have lower goals than the district goals? I think we're diminishing whatever celebration they're having, because we have no idea if they're celebrating or not. Because we are only looking at the district goal. And I did notice, I know that we didn't talk about the IEPs, but the goals were different, right, for the students with IEPs, which is good, I guess, if we're going to be about that last time, that perhaps we need different goals. And then it does state though that school year 2026, it's gonna scale up. To scale up here, what does that mean? Slide, page 30 on your.
For the SSIP,
The students with disabilities as the leading goal, targets for their grade.
we need to get back to you on that one, yeah.
Yeah, this is referring to the SSIP.
Yeah,
Scale.
I think that's where we're gonna add the schools for all schools into setting the goals for the SSIP. There's three schools, I think, are involved in that.
You'll get that.
Yeah,
And then since students who IEPs have separate goals. Is that a plan for students under the ELL program? Or Title I students, 'cause these are all the subgroups that are indicated here. Just students with IEP that have the special needs. And then these ones are just for reading. Are there special goals for students with IEP for math? Or is there a reason that only reading and not math?
The CNMI philosophy has always been, everyone should have, all of those subcategories would also have goals. Because we want to continuously, raise up for be standardized.
Something to think about and maybe get back to us this time around. Any other questions? That's it for me for Star Winter, but I guess letter B, which is the 40th percentile update, kind of lends itself into here. I know that the commissioner has sent us an email defining the 40th percentile, which is also in this report, but that was not the actual question. Question was, if we're saying, based on your email, you are saying this and also on this write-up, that the 40th percentile means the student is on grade level. And there are students who meet the 40th percentile, but their instructional, this is math in particular, I don't know about reading, level is 6th grade, and they're in the 10th grade. I feel it's misleading. So I had asked ARE to come back with a response to that in terms of maybe there's like with reading, if you're at a 6th grade reading level and you're proficient at it, you can function in society and that's sufficient. That's fine, and maybe that's what it means with math, but I don't know because I don't know the math. If there is one like in reading, but that was the question from the last meeting. Not for you to define what is easily found in STAR. Definition of 40th percentile. What are we front facing to the public? We're saying they're on grade level. But we know that the instructional level is different. STAR is telling me that they need an instructional level of 6th grade. It means they're proficient through 5th grade math. but yet we're telling the public that the student is proficient. It's confusing.
I apologize that I wasn't aware of what the
That's-
40% guy was asking for. But we have to look back at what is exactly the purpose of STAR. And the purpose of STAR is not standard mastery. STAR is instruction. So 40th percentile, this is not a number. It's not an arbitrary number. This is based on the research and the best practices that districts are using. But the 40th percentiles it signals foundational readiness for grade level instruction. So it's when we talk about proficiency, we're talking about did the students learn what they're supposed to know and be able to do for the standards. That's proficiency.
Right, but it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
As a teacher, when I get 40th percentile student, give them 6th grade level math, even though they're in 10th grade. So that seems counter what you just stated.
So when the students is at 40th percentile, according to the research of Renaissance, it doesn't mean that the student is failing, but the student is within that mid grade level. It's ready for grade level instructions. It doesn't mean that the student is proficient. No.
Maybe we need to redefine it because the one you sent me says it's proficient.
Okay. Yeah, well,
I mean, I don't know what the research shows in terms of at what level can you function in society with whatever level of math? I don't know that answer. But perhaps something to figure out and then understand what we're actually telling the public. And if it's strictly for instructional purposes, then should the public even have this information? I don't know, just asking, just like with grade level GE. Very clear at Renaissance training. They said, don't tell the public the GE because it's a false score. So, okay. So is that the same with percentile? Is that only for teachers? And then does that mean it doesn't get reported here? I don't know. So these are questions that I think need to be addressed. Doesn't have to be now.
Data literacy should be intuitive. Data should be intuitive if it's for mass consumption of the public. So data literacy or editing. But maybe you can talk about the map and math and if that's gonna in that transition, you're gonna.
Not on the agenda.
It's
That's true.
we'll cross that bridge when we.
what are you trying to do?
Cause we're.
I know what you're doing.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, we'll go ahead and go to letter C for updates on reimagining CLHS.
Okay, lots of work has been done and the team is here to present what work has been done when it comes to CCLHS, and I'm just here to say that I'm so delighted to know that we're moving forward and progressing in our way of addressing this issue with CCLHS and the fragmented way of teaching that we've been experiencing and learning, and now are bringing a lot of good standardized ways, right? And the beautiful thing about it is all of our instructors in the CCLHS were involved in the process. So take it on.
We just want to make sure that you guys receive the strategic plan for the CCLHS program. This plan started in response, or the work started in response to the recent CCLHS data dialogues that Commissioner held earlier this year. We were able to do all of the clusters and ROTA, and Tinian will be later this month or early next month. So that's the final cluster that we need to go to listen from the CCLH program about how they're doing and their progress and also their needs. But based on, we found some unified themes in terms of, what the schools, the teachers suggested needs to be done. One of the biggest actions requested was, to convene the teachers to realign everyone, right? We have a lot of new members in the CCHS program. So just getting everyone in the same wavelength in terms of this vision, mission, right? What are the priorities for the CCLHS program at the school level, at the district level, so that we have this aligned path moving forward. So just last week, Saturday, we were able to have with our CCLHS teachers. In attendance were 40 educators, and from the 4 hours of work, we're able to come up with this draft strategic plan. That's part one. Part two is on March 28th, where we will get to look at the specifics in terms of the timeline and those really detailing this plan to make sure who's responsible, to make this goal of or this vision come to a reality. And so really this update shares a summary of this plan. We focus on high quality instruction and materials. Student language development was also considered a priority for the teachers, increasing the proficiency through structured strategies and authentic language use. As a result of the CCLHS data dialogues, we saw that there were some inconsistencies into like the instruction, the placement of teachers, right, for the program. So we wanted to make sure that it's aligned, right, that a student entering elementary or middle school, right, whether it's in Carolina or Chamorro, they're able to take those classes all throughout, and you're not hopping from one content to another to really strengthen that proficiency development. So that was one of the biggest findings. Also, another priority area that they wanted to focus on is the teacher professional development, right? Pathways for certification, targeted training based on their needs, and collaborative support. And then lastly, that family and community engagement piece, really bringing the community into the schools. We have that work actually starting now. Mr. Felix Nogues has reached out to the schools to provide the cultural practitioners who can visit. So we have that happening, right? And again, not just random pieces that's happening based on school level priorities, but we want a unified structure so that it's all, everyone is getting the same access to good quality instruction supported at the district and at the schools. So that is the plan, and I'll go ahead and pass it off to our program manager to share more details or answer any questions that you may have regarding the plan.
Yes, and I'd like to thank everyone for allowing us to share our program. I would just like to add on to what Dr. Lorraine mentioned on the family and community engagement. Yes, our stakeholders have been very involved in having PSS come over to for example, Caribbean Affairs to present the culture and the language, and also Indigenous affairs. And Ms. Monica and I have been reaching out to them because on May 2nd, we have our upcoming language competition, and they are also involved in preparation of that. We've been reaching out to get judges from stakeholders and not to involve the teachers because they're going to be busy with the students. So that's one big event that we're really excited that's going to happen pretty soon, May 2nd.
I was gonna ask about the language commission involvement in this too. But I also realized that a lot of the commissioners in the language commission are also PSS language instructors, right?
The board members.
Kinda,
The
Yeah,
board members.
The board members, yeah.
PSS bilingual teachers.
yeah.
Lorraine, did you want to add on to what she said about where we are?
So, having that first session, with our bilingual teachers really, we really saw the shift in, mindset from our bilingual teachers. It was more so a relief for them. Relief because we finally had a collective consensus of what the bilingual program or CCLHS vision, mission, and core values would be, or what they are now. And so that really helped motivated them to now really be more involved with more meaning, more purpose, and where it's not just a drag to attend PDs or to be part of a big program session project, which we normally do every summer. And there's a lot of work still ongoing, specifically like our curriculum, because this is where the root of consistency and structure will kind of reveal what that all looks like. And so that vision and mission statement and the core values really, I would say, boosted our bilingual teachers. And did we read our vision? Maybe I can just read you guys the vision statement. And this, again, this is a consensus of our bilingual teachers. So the CCLH's vision statement, students will embrace their Chamorro and Carolinian heritage by learning and using their languages, honoring traditions, and becoming proud cultural ambassadors who sustain their identity across generations. That is the consensus vision statement. Then our mission statement, the CCLH's program educates students with the knowledge, skills, and cultural understanding needed to honor, preserve, and carry forward the Chamorro and Carolinian languages, values, and ancestral knowledge for future generations. Okay. And then the core values, the top 3 core values, again, consensus of our bilingual teachers. One, being language revitalization. This is the commitment to restoring and strengthening our Chamorro Carolinian language use. Second, cultural preservation. This includes protection and continuation of traditions and heritage. And then lastly, student identity and pride. This would require fostering confidence and pride in our Chamorro Carolinian identity and heritage.
So if I may, isn't this beautiful? Right, we've come this far and in a matter of a handful of months, we were able to turn things around, at least to this point, where we have been struggling to get to this point for the longest time. In my humble opinion, I think all it needed was some sort of like direction, because there's been a fragmentation of the way. That's why we can't move forward with much more. We when we were doing this data dialogue, before we did the data dialogue, instead of doing what we did last year, where we looked at star achievement rates, we got that already. I think everyone is energized to making sure we do intervention and all those to get the underperforming to performing in the reading and math. But in this next round of this year's round of data dialogue, we're gonna do student well-being, maintenance of our facilities, and then the latter part of that day, we'll be looking at the CCLHS program. Because I suspected the fragmentation and I suspected the rich discussion that was gonna occur. And the identification that we, and the recognition that we do have an issue here that we have to address. And then directed to the convening for this to happen so that they're involved in the making of this. And I now think that it's going to move forward, right? Because as mentioned and alluded to, people are energized now. Because now they're involved in this process. Gone are the days, and I'm gonna stop saying gone are the days, because there's a lot of things that we want to kind of, just dismiss so we can move forward with other things, but gone are the days where we think we can bring some set of talent or consultation or expertise from outside to come and tell us how to do things. And they've been doing that, especially with this program. Right? I mean, we've been investing in so much from outside to come in and kind of drive the direction of this program. But yet it only took a matter of months for from within we could benefit out of the expertise that we currently have to be at a better stage and a better position. So it's my thrill and delight with just being where we are with this program today. Because we did tell the board that we're gonna turn this thing around, right? quicker than it needs to be because something is right and something's wrong, and we don't want to continue to make it. And it's, it's been moving forward. But addressing the disparity in the number of teachers and then kind of getting those schools up to, and then not just giving the schools the sole responsibility to transform their own programmatic ways of teaching and learning, but making it a standard district wide effort, I think encourages everyone at that level, the ground level in the classroom space, to now, be excited to elevate this to the next level and in the way of its progression as a program. Does that make sense?
Sure, just also one thing, I think we've heard frustrations from the teachers, like this is years and years we're doing this, even just to kind of get them on board for last Saturday's PD, like we only had about half of the of the group. But I think they've been hearing that this is different, something is different. Our next session, almost all of them have RSVP. So just that, in and of itself is a success. And so we're so excited, to continue this momentum.
I think someone invested, sorry. No.
You have any?
No, go ahead. I was just responding to these.
I think really this was really, I reflect on this experience, this recent experience as this was really the first stepping stone to really, giving that push for the program, which was really, including the, consensus of our teachers to build, the vision, mission, and core values. That was the first stepping stone. And so we really feel and saw that I think moving forward, there is that 100% consensus that these teachers are really looking forward to what's ahead with what we're now going to continue with, or maybe even new initiatives for the program. So I hope that it brings some, what's that word?
Say it in Carol.
Cohesive transformation.
Say it in Carol.
I would definitely,
I would definitely.
So also I'd like to share that teachers have been sharing this frustration on we need to work on our instruction, our lesson plans, our resources, and with that, this will help with the following. A student in first grade from GTC moved to Garapan first grade. So GTC, they're learning numbers. When they move to Garapan, and mind you, first quarter, right? They're learning numbers. When they move to Garapan, they're learning colors. So where's that, yeah. And then they move to the other school, they're learning another one. So it's the same across the grades. So that's why the teachers are like, we need to work on this. They're excited and they wanted to see across the board, across the system, the lesson plans, the resources being used by a quarter. Us.
Yeah, so when a student reaches fourth grade, they're not learning colors again, but they should have been learning that in first grade. But that just, and we're gonna get away from that. Because the reason why the student is back to basics in fourth grade, because he never or she never grew in the second and third grade because they were taking another language, right? But it used to be Chamorro, now it's Carolinian, and then all of a sudden Chamorro again. So these folks are addressing that issue. And
Yeah, one can share more on that progressive learning you always mentioned.
Oh, yeah, so progressive learning is basically the curriculum. Without the curriculum, we can't provide any data, can't build any data, can't really see what the outlook of the program will look like in a 3-year strategic, 5-year strategic. We need that core curriculum. That's really what the drive is for the program. I just wanted to also add that I'm glad that in our capacity as leaders, we're now coming to share, the improvements, and also knowing now that we have our bilingual teachers now also on board along with our leadership capacity. I think the third element, or very most critical component, would also include stakeholders. Yes, we do have them, supporting our functions, what I mean by this also. So the families, parents, be involved. So we're hoping that maybe soon we'll have like a collective approach to also involve families, so that we have a thorough, cohesive transformation of the program. So from the leadership level to our educators and also our families, stakeholders.
If I may, I want to commend these folks for coming up with these materials that never had been in existence. And that the teachers were dying for.
So these materials were built by the Caribbean teachers. This was the project that I mentioned a few ESA meetings ago. This is a general board meeting. And in a span of, I believe, 8 weeks, all of these materials. And there were only 10 Caribbean instructors that took part in this project. There was limited funding, but we saw great passion from these 10 Caribbean teachers that came together, committed their time, effort, and expertise to help us with filling in those curriculum units with these literature pieces that you see here. And then just recently we also got a UH to allow us to make copies, or not copies, but to be able to print the Caribbean English Dictionary that they had developed back in 1979, I believe, which is still very practical, relevant, and useful to us today.
And along the same line of, transformation, if you will, we're aligning it with technology, right? So teachers are given through ITDE, thankfully, the tools as well to better deliver the curriculum, to better deliver those standards and benchmarks by just being capable of actually utilizing the technology that our students expect our teachers to have, right? Right?
Yes.
So, incorporating a lot of the
Yeah.
nearby and all those things.
And I first have heard about the impact of those bi-weekly PDs that our teachers are taking part of. I know obviously we have constraints, so they've been doing it virtually. Dr. Ria has been facilitating these specific technology PDs that target our CCLHS teachers. The most recent one, I heard some CCLHS teachers share their excitement to start is the book creator. So they learned about book creator, and they can see that this tool is something they can have their students build their own resources right at the classroom level for free. So they're really super excited to use this technology, these tools, and to further create artifacts for their students and showcase their learning.
May I add more to that, Dr. Ria? So the online PDs that Dr. Ria has been presenting to the CCLHS teachers, it's like after school, maybe from 3:30 to 4:30, like an hour and a half. So the first one is gamifying your lessons. Those are all online. Second one is providing students feedback with technology. The third one is differentiating instruction with technology. Also bring stories to life with book creator, like Dr. Lorraine mentioned. And the other one is tricky ways to make class more engaging. So I asked her for the attendance of the teachers just to look over how many have attended, and not so good for me, but I will encourage them to, if Dr. Ria provides it again next year, to take it.
Always aiming for 100%.
Yes.
So we have a baseline. We've established a baseline, and it's just growth.
Yeah, and also last summer, the Chamorro bilingual teachers as well as the Caribbean teachers, what we did was we had our teachers work on creating stories online. And from the story, after they create that, they get to also have activities after the story, and then from the activities is assessment. From the assessment is the rubrics. So those are the ones that can be accessed online and also printed for use in the classroom. Great. And we'll continue working with those.
You guys have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I think if I was a student, I I would have really loved to read about these books when I was in elementary. Have you guys talked to students in terms of asking them whether the books were beneficial or helpful in understanding the content? Or have asked the teachers whether they observe their students to be more understanding of the content?
So I can share that when we conduct observations, our Kelly instructors have been very, they have been utilizing the materials. And so my observation from the students is that they are engaged. The resources are, it seems very, they're excited to use these resources, and it really brings a lot of dialogue between the teacher and the students in the vernacular. Yes, that's my observation. Thank you.
Is that a question?
First of all, I just want to say, like, I'm so excited. This is so awesome, especially hearing what you guys were talking about that occurred last weekend. Clearly, I think you were talking about how like they become more motivated, they can become more invested. And I think it's clearly because their expertise is being utilized, right? Like, or not, as you said, relying on people that can't even speak these languages to come in and tell us how to teach the languages. So, kudos to you for engaging in that process. I know it's not easy to kind of collectively say, like, this is our mission, this is our vision, these are our core values. That's really difficult work. And for you to be able to do that in one afternoon is quite impressive to me. So congratulations on that. I'm very excited about this moving forward. And then just, like reading the strategic plan, it's really great. I appreciate it, all the work that you guys have been doing to put into this. And then now that knowing that, the other half are going to join for the next one, even more things to come, right? From everybody coming together and sharing their expertise. So my questions are, I know that I was working with Elon on kind of trying to locate the standards and benchmarks. Just trying to understand the history of where we are at with the standards and benchmarks. And I know that what we have currently, we were able to locate it, it's pretty old. And I heard you were talking at the PAC that you will be working on it. And I'm guessing this is part of that process, right? You guys were talking about standardizing the curriculum. So at what point are you going to work on that first and then kind of develop benchmarks from that? Or where does the benchmarks fit into the work that you all are doing with the curriculum?
So there are already benchmarks for each of the 5 standards that we have for the program. So we are currently, looking through, reviewing all those benchmarks. We know that it's not board approved yet, and maybe just from what I recall, my recollection of these standards and benchmark is in 2021 when I came in through OCI, there were several workshops that were facilitated by Dr. Claire Camacho along with the POC of Chamorro Carolina teachers that worked on the standards and benchmarks. And then the years after that also, I think the most recent or the last time they worked on it was in 2022, 2023. And so this is what we have currently. I don't know, have you all been given the standards benchmark that we uploaded?
So we do have what's published on the OCI side is the 2012 one.
Yeah, that's the ones that I saw.
So there was work sharing that there was draft work to revise those because they were kind of missing the academic pieces. It was really just focused on Chamorro. So there was draft work to do that in 2022, but that draft needs to be finalized. So we're hoping to do that pretty soon, finalize and make sure it's all clean, ready to go. And present to hopefully the next visa committee meeting, that will.
So you are using those, just updating them, not creating new ones? Oh, okay, I think I misunderstood.
Yes.
I misunderstood. Okay, so we're using that as a baseline. We're just completing them with the Carolinian pieces and updating the ones that are kind of outdated.
What I discovered during our data dive was that some there lies the fragmentation that we speak of, right? Some were actually still with the old one. And maybe had no clue that the new one was already around, you know, and there's just this lack of deliberate implementation, right? It was like, I remember hearing somebody's like, oh, well, we're still doing the 2012 and wait a minute, where have you been, you know? But it was just because of that.
So there were a lot of drafts that were shared.
Yeah.
After one was completed, that was shared. Second draft, it was complete, it was shared. So I think
Yeah.
that's where the
Confusion.
occurred. So it's still the same piece that we hold with the standards and benchmark. And so we're really doing our best to go over it as soon as possible and get it
Finalized.
finalized by your committee or the board. Yes.
Thank you.
And then hopefully with that board endorsement, then we can say this is the.
Yeah. Everybody knew saying that.
No, I know. Yeah, so you're right. I mean, I think now is doing a lot of research to look back at minutes to see like were these ever adopted by the board. But I know they had never been since I've been on the board, so kind of looking even further back during Dr. Sablon's time. But anyway, okay, I'm glad that that's clarified.
Just say, I'm not gonna change unless it's a part of.
Yeah.
They still are using the 2012. You know, that's been revised, it's been, you know, but they're still using the 2012 because that's what is approved.
That was board.
I just have another, yeah. So you talked about the family engagement. And again, I've been talking to some folks in the community and I think you mentioned it also at the PAC meeting that there used to be a parent advisory group that was specific to CCLHS. And from what I understand, that this group was similar to the parent advisory group that is now, but they had a very specific role in terms of curriculum development for the program, right? Not just kind of like parent concerns overall, but this was very specific to CCLHS. And so they were very involved from my understanding. And so there is a kind of recommendation to kind of bring that back to ensure that we are doing, we're engaging parents and families, especially since we're making so many changes and we're really making some improvements. And I think you did mention it at the PAC too, so I was wondering if that's something that is also part of the family engagement piece, or how do you all feel about that idea?
I think ideally it would be good to integrate it with existing parent advisory council. I believe that was the recommendation, maybe a possible city.
Like a subcommittee or something like a committee?
3 or 4 committees right now under act, so to recommend the creation of a subcommittee for that. So it's not a separate entity, but it's integrated into the existing, would be ideal.
And I feel that would also address the family engagement involvement at that level. You know, you have that overseeing authority as well, but also in the capacity as a family or parent. Kind of have like a double edged sword, advantage, more advantage to include them. So
We can follow up with our family engagement director, Ms. Lila, to see, I know we do have an upcoming PAC summit and hopefully, that can be something that we can discuss with the PAC officers, if that's something they can, are willing to adopt this time around. And maybe consider also a spot at the PAC summit to highlight some of this work, would be also great to share.
Yeah, that's it.
That summit is coming up, April 11.
Well, I'm also very excited, especially when you were reading the vision, mission, and core values. I could feel your excitement, the excitement of the teachers. Is this new? Do we never have a vision, mission, and core values?
This is, yes.
I think from the teacher's perspective, because we do have our PSS, just vision and mission. Yeah.
Not
Across the system, but this is coming from the teachers.
I'm especially excited about that family engagement component, and I'm interested to see how you're going to blend it into the curriculum to get a jump start and maybe revitalize the language usage for tomorrow carrying the language. Super exciting.
Yeah. Sorry, last question on the mission and vision. Will those be translated to tomorrow in Carolinian, the vision and the mission? That's the time, yeah, okay. I figured I just wanted to. Okay, because that'd be kind of cool too, yeah.
Did you really understand the English you wanted?
Yeah, you feel it more, right, in the vernacular. So like, I don't speak Carolinian, but I think if I read it in Chamorro, you would just feel the, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Let Dr. Mira translate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the suggestion, but no. Let's go ahead and move on to letter D, proposal to amend honors and AP wishes regulation.
Okay, Dr.
All right. So, just wanted to make sure you guys received the proposed amendment to honors and AP course weighting regulation. So the proposal seeks to update the CNMI PSS current GPA weighting policy to better reflect the rigor of student learning. Under the existing regulation, only a limited number of honors and AP courses are eligible for the weighted GPA. Even as schools over the past several years have expanded their course offerings in honors and AP, those limitations still remain. And so the proposed amendment removes this limitation and allows all district approved honors and AP courses across both core and non-core subject areas to receive that GPA weighted recognition. This ensures that student transcripts more accurately reflect the scope of rigorous coursework they complete. In addition, as you've heard earlier from today's public comments, right, feedback shared from both our teachers and educators highlight the importance of this in recognizing the efforts of our students involved in advanced coursework, and really this critical need for this policy update. As the committee considers this proposal, we also seek your guidance on the implementation, specifically whether the amended weighting policy should apply retroactively to current students in high school, or be implemented moving forward from a established effective date. So the proposal does not create additional costs and includes safeguards such as counselor guidance, monitoring for equitable access, and to ensure responsible implementation.
Okay. Committee members, any questions?
I have a question. So you mentioned about like a set date for it to be established. So what happens for students who took, for example, AP Seminar and AP Research? Would those classes and their grades be weighted after the established date, or because it was prior, it would not be considered weighted?
That would be the decision from this committee. So there's potential benefits and also disadvantages to different. So for the retroactive implementation, right, applying to students who like took previous coursework in AP Seminar or those courses that are currently unweighted, right, it would create equity for the current students. However, there would be some work that needs to be done for their transcripts to be because the school year is closed.
I'm here.
BJ Phillips area about Kavanaugh's. We're gonna get a look at this swing and miss.
There would be some work that would have to be done for their transcripts to reflect that weight, the new weight requirement. So some challenges with that is just the transcript recalculation. It might cause some class rank disruption, right? So that's something to consider.
And then perceptions of fairness, some may argue that it's like an after the fact rule that changed something from before. So there is implications for that piece, that retroactive consideration. But if you're implementing based on an effective date, like moving or next school year or whenever this is passed, it applies the rules more consistently to all students from a defined start point. Whatever that start point is when the BOE approves this amendment. It's easier to implement. And it's just standard policy moving forward. But just there's pros and cons to both pieces. So retroactive or from start, moving from this effective implementation date forward.
What do you guys recommend?
I did kind of get a feeler from our some principal about what her thoughts are on this, and in terms of the amount of students that are impacted, it may not be as much because it's only currently a certain number of students that have taken these specific courses that have not received their weighted GPA. So load might not be that much to recalculate, right? But there's other implications. It's kind of challenging to measure. Abstract disruption. By one. So it's, I think, more fair, right, to give the students, if we're able to adopt it and give them retroactively, the ones that, have done the work, to give them that weight, right? That would be more equitable. The current students. It might not be with the current student now because by the time this may pass, they might have graduated, but maybe the upcoming seniors, this might impact them if they have taken courses in the past that were previously unweighted. So that might impact them.
So am I hearing you correctly saying that you recommend that we apply it retroactively when the start date is from whoever's in school at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Right, the most equity for for students who have done the work already, right? And as you heard from the comments, right, they've done this advanced rigorous work. Maybe they're juniors and sophomores that have taken this classes, and so to kind of honor their work and provide that weighted GPA, that would be the most equitable recommendation.
Do you know the rationale for the limits?
I was trying to really understand why the limitations, because it's been a long standing policy, right? I think it may have been because of the high mobility, right? We have a lot of transfer students between schools, and some schools have more AP classes than others. So in terms of class rank disruption, to lessen the class rank disruption from one student transferring from, for example, MHS to Cagman High, who has less access to AP courses, that, because of these weighted AP classes, they could easily be number one in that class. But that's like an extreme example.
Also the option of online AP classes.
Yes.
Kind of removes that.
Yes, that's true. So I don't know what other rationale would limit the number aside from that, because of it not being offered in all schools.
Yeah.
We know what's that period it has to be for?
For public comment, I think it's 60 days. Right, for public comment, and then, right, Ms. Vowles, I felt like you know this better. Sexual regulation,
30 days.
Oh, 30 days for public comment.
And our regular board meeting is set up for end of April.
Well, we will have an emergency special meeting for the budget,
Right.
April 6th. Or what? Yeah, 6th. Let's do the.
Second.
We're gonna be, FPM second and then 6 is the board meeting.
So practically speaking, even if the board votes on it, it wouldn't be able to be implemented until the next school year. I would be in support of removing the limit personally, and then also in support of the retroactive. I know that you did mention, I don't know how the full board will feel about that part. But I think. Are you guys, we can take a vote. Can we move it to the full board? But before we do that, would we say that we are supporting it? So that when we move it to the full board, we let the full board know our opinion?
I can move to endorse and push it to the full board. I do the motion, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
All right. So Chair, I move to endorse the proposal to amend honors and AP weighted regulation and push it to the full board for approval
At the next regular board.
yes, at the next board meeting.
Okay, so
Yeah.
possibly a special board meeting.
Mhm.
Second,
Second,
okay, we get a vote?
Sure. Judas Burgess,
yes.
ACB Tenorio,
Yes.
Beverly Nguyen,
Yeah.
and Cheryl, all members voting yes.
Okay, let's move on to item E, pretty much the last item on this agenda. The 2026 School Library Month proclamation.
Just want to confirm that you received the translated proclamations in English tomorrow in 5 minutes. Okay, so the CNMI PSS will be formally recognized in April 2026 as School Library Month. Where we are celebrating the vital role of school libraries and librarians in supporting student learning, literacy, and equitable access to information. Our proclamation ceremony will be held on Friday, March 7th, 2026. That's next week, Friday, from 10 to 11:30 at the Saipan Southern High School Library. And we respectfully request this body's approval of the School Library Month proclamation to formally recognize and support this initiative across the Commonwealth.
Questions, guys? So should we make a motion?
Yes, I move to approve. Yes, okay, support endorse. All of the above, the 2026 School Library Month proclamation.
Well,
Judas Burgess,
Yes.
ACB Tenorio,
Yes.
Dorothy Mira.
yeah,
Madam Chair, all members voting yes.
fine.
And
We're into executive session. I don't have anything. Any of you have anything? Oh, no. How about miscellaneous matters? Anything?
don't.
Is it then? Do you guys have anything?
Okay. Just,
Yes, go ahead, just
there's a lot of events happening, right? And then
Yeah.
we're keeping the board informed of
Thank you.
the parent summit, CCLHS competition, the microregion, Highland Forum, education summit. I don't know what else, there's so many summits. But I'll continue to keep the board informed of about it.
Thank you. All right,
Everything.
sound good? Okay, it's 11:51. Let's
I
move.
Sure, I move to adjourn today's
Oh,
meeting.
tomorrow's Stemfair.
Oh, yeah.
Stemfair at Chat Channel.
Okay, vote. Adjourn.
Judas Burgess,
Yes.
ACB Tenorio,
Yes.
Dorothy Mira.
And 11:51, meeting's adjourned.
Good job, Gina. Thank
That was
you.
right.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank you.